Authority had at least put some restrictions on imported vehicles. Now the taxman comes out to reveal that at least they're going to relax warehousing restrictions on all motor vehicles. The Uganda Revenue Authority revealed its earlier directive to remove motor vehicles that are dating 9 years old or more from the warehousing regime to adopting a 1-year reduction approach on warehousing regime for these motor vehicles. Now, with the new measure, which takes effect on 1st July, that will be the beginning of the next financial year, 2022, motor vehicles older than 13 years shall pay taxes while at the first ports of entry in the East African community. Thank you for joining us in this set of Business Special. My name is Joram Paul Sonko, and this time around we are coming to you from Harry Group, as we are going to be discussing the bond business and what it means for this particular directive from the Uganda Revenue Authority. And joining me currently is a gentleman in the names of Ayebare Marvin. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Joram. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to the Harry Group.
All right. Pleasure is ours to be here, by the way. So if you're to take us through, first of all, Ayebare Marvin. Who is Ayebare Marvin, and in which perspective are you on the show right now?
Thanks again, Joram. My name is Marvin Ayebale. I'm a car dealer, car importer. I've been in the business for the last 8-9 years, actually 12 years.
Okay.
Skip my mind. But yes, I'm here in capacity both as an importer, as also a person in the bond business, and more especially under the Associated Motor Dealers, that is the umbrella body that governs the trade in the used motor vehicles in Uganda.
Okay.
So I do happen to be the publicity secretary there, and I'm here to take all your questions and make sure our viewership is satisfied.
All right. And when you talk about publicity secretary, the key word there is publicity.
Yes.
Now let's first start from the bond business in the country. If you're to give advice to someone, why would one choose to invest in a bond business?
Ultimately, bonding is quite interesting business. You do realize that you are an agent one. You actually solve a number of problems simultaneously. First of all, you do understand that Uganda by nature is a landlocked country. That in itself calls for a warehousing regime in customs management. Unlike our brothers in Kenya and Tanzania who are at the seaports, we have the issue that we don't have direct access to the sea.
Just like them.
Just like they do. So you find that you have to create a warehousing regime through which customs can transit. So you find that Joram, who brings his sacks of maize, or let's say he imports tiles, whatever he does, he needs the warehousing to be able to facilitate his trade, either as he waits for taxes, waits for customers, or as he transits it through the country. You also do find that bonds are agents for the government because we are custodians of government revenue.
Okay.
What do I mean? We will take a walk probably after this show, and I'll show you the number of vehicles, for example, we have in this bond. All this is government revenue that we are custodians of, that we are holding. So when you see the nice roads, when you see good health services and all that, we are contributing to the development of our country as well. So in general, it's a business that cuts across different bounds and pretty much solves a lot of economic problems.
All right. So you would clearly give advice for someone to start up a bond.
I mean, the more the merrier, guys. Join us in this party.
All right.
Yes,
so
sure.
let's break down the figures now.
Yeah.
How much would someone need if they wanted to start up a bond business?
Well, that's a very broad question, Jerome. There's quite a wide spectrum of different bonds. There's general goods bonds, there's specialized bonds like motor vehicle bonds. For example, we are at a motor vehicle bond, meaning we can't deal with containerized cargo.
Okay.
But to use this as an example, the URA, because we are under regulation by the Uganda Revenue Authority, the URA requires that you need about 1.5 acres of land within the city.
Okay.
This must be paved or tarmac or colors, whatever you want to do. There must be proper security because you're in custody of goods that have not yet cleared taxes.
True.
You're in custody of government revenue. You need office space, you need computers to ensure that the entire entry and exit of goods is all computerized. Ultimately, it's not a very heavy investment. It's quite an interesting one. And if anybody wanted to know more, I'd definitely be glad to help them set up one or two.
But it looks very expensive, though, when you break down a number of figures there. So let's talk about the rules and regulations. Now,
Yes,
you as a
sure.
publicity secretary of the bond organization in the country,
Sure.
let's look at the rules and regulations for any business, because if a business like this one has a board, or let's say at least a group of people that at least set rules and regulations. Now, for the people under the umbrella organization or
Yes.
union, what are those things that they need to follow, or what are those key guidelines that they must have for people doing this business?
Ultimately, you find that our business is not too complicated. We come from a perspective where we transfer from a supplier, we bring these goods here and on to the last or final consumer. The URA has regulated, for example, the bonds. There's so many things we can and we cannot do. That's principally because we are custodians of government revenue. I mean, you have to execute a bond in billions of shillings to be able to hold these cars, for example. Why? Because if I woke up one morning and any of these cars is gone for whatsoever reason, I'm indebted to the government for these taxes. So the rules are just like any other business. Let's do good business. Let's do clean business. Let's support the government. Let's support the end user. At the end of the day, let's create an eco cycle, just like any other business. You must understand that in here we are in service. So whatever applies to service ultimately applies to us as a category under service industry. Yes.
All right, now let's break down challenges. Businesses like these ones, very heavy businesses, I believe they also incur very heavy challenges that not only a normal business person can actually understand or deal with.
I've lost so much weight
So
recently.
if you are at least to take us through the challenges that you encounter in certain kind, maybe long term, or there are also those short term that you can at least deal with.
Well, in the auto industry, first of all, the auto is a very heavily invested business. It takes quite a sum of funds available to be able to get up on your feet. There's always challenges, especially one because these goods, these cars or any other goods are coming from overseas to here. So you have one, freight challenges. If there is freight delays, I think some of my brothers who are dealing with the brand new cars, I have a number of customers calling me and telling me that if you walk into their dealerships for the brand new cars right now, they'll tell you that they need 7 months to deliver one order. They don't have anything in their showrooms. So freight has been a big challenge, especially after COVID. As you know, our business is heavily dependent or reliant on foreign exchange. The fluctuations in foreign exchange definitely have an impact on us as a business. I can tell you 3 weeks ago, the dollar was trading at about 3,500, 3,600. As we speak now, it's about 3,800.
Because by even close of business Monday, it was around 3,700.
You see my point. You have bought things at a certain price. You're getting here and boom. It's the dynamics have just changed. Between that and there, we have a number of unnatural causes, effects like, for example, in transportation, we do lose quite an amount of cargo due to accidents, poor handling, etc., etc. Then, like every other business, especially considering the advent of internet now in the business, you have some cases of fraud. You know, I think I have all the directors of Interpol have my number on speed dial. Marvin, now we have a case of this. Marvin, we have a case of this. Marvin, we have a case of this. When you get here in Uganda itself, we are all coming from COVID, and you do understand our economy at this point in time is it's really trying to get up on its feet again. And just like many other businesses, we are actually feeling the resultant effects of it. As much as we try to create employment, there's always hurdles and hassles with employees and things like that. So just like every other business, we do have a lot of challenges. It's just that ours are a bit more expensive considering the nature of the trade.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's get into importation.
Yes.
If you to look at the business here in Uganda, I believe we import more of the used cars.
Yes,
than that. Why is it so?
Ultimately, importation is governed by many things. The first thing we look at, and primary thing we actually look at, is the cost. We must understand that it's not just about waking up and saying, hey, listen, I want to drive a 2022 Land Cruiser, LC300. There is the cost element attached. I think you remember a couple of years ago, I think it was 2015, I was again at the forefront of that discussion with government when we agreed to limit vehicle importation for various reasons to 15 years. That means at this point in time you can only import a car that goes as far as 15 years of age.
Yes.
Now, in comparison to what we were used to before, the cars, if you went to buy a 20-year-old car from Japan now, it is much, much cheaper than you buying a 15, 14-year-old vehicle. Now, when it gets here, we are also constantly engaging the URA on the tax component, because you do find that we are also having a very heavy tax component being added to this cost of a car. I mean, the other day, I'm being told now we sell a Paso, for example, at 23, 25 million. And you're asking yourself, this small, tiny, weeny thing that's just supposed to take me here and there, it's for 25 million. Is it inflation, or where exactly is the problem? So when you look at economies like New Zealand, in New Zealand there is no auto tax.
Okay.
You know, which to us you find that the tax component of a vehicle is about 50% or more of the CIF Kampala landed cost. So these are as a business in importation, in cars, these are the biggest challenges we are facing ultimately as an industry. Yes.
Okay. Now let's get into something to do with the Uganda Revenue Authority.
Yes. Those guys.
So they
friends
come,
of mine.
Yes. Now they come on board saying they no longer want to have cars imported dating 9 years or 9 years and above into if 9 years back from the production process. Now, discussions we've had with most of the people operating bonds in the country, it was a very huge pinch to most of them. What is your take on that?
Joram, allow me to offer some clarity to the general public. URA did not limit importation to 9 years. What URA notified the public of was a proposal to have motor vehicles 9 years and above clear taxes at the